And of course, they're speaking to a panel of experts here in studio who are here to help us understand what that exactly is, but also the concerns that consumers should have. So let's begin from the start. Moses, I want to begin with you. And so you've heard what Kenyans in Machakos are saying what artificial intelligence is. So what is it in simple terms?
It's technology that basically mimics or simulates human behavior or human intelligence and allows you to do tasks that typically might have been done by people in the past. It's existed in many forms even before the arrival of the likes of ChatGPT. And of course we have a representative from Google. I always like to use the example of when you have your Google Maps and your phone reminds you to leave a place to get to your meeting on time. That's a form of artificial intelligence. So in many instances we've actually been using it. We just may not have realized that it's actually there.
Mm-hmm. And Agnes, because you're here from Google, talk to us about what that artificial intelligence is and specifically how different people have actually used it with that knowledge, but also help us understand the extent we are at this moment.
So as Moses said, his definition stands. It's simulating human processes. AI has been here for a long time, and it has been used in quite a number of different areas. So, for example, in 2018, Google opened its first AI research lab in Africa. So you can imagine how many years ago we have been actually working on AI. And a lot of the things that we have been developing are to solve for societal challenges. So whether it's predicting locusts, flood forecasting, health AI, right? Things that solve for challenges that are global in nature. I think the excitement right now is, if I could give an example, remember when the computer you had to build a building for a computer, and very few organizations globally had one? We are transitioning from that kind of time to the personal computer, where you all have your laptop and computing is in your hand. That is the equivalent. AI has been there. We have used it in many, many different platforms, be it, as he said, in maps, to drive advertising. You talked about online shopping. All those have been in the back end. Most mobile phones have AI embedded in them, right? The excitement right now is that the consumer, you and I, now have access to it. And we can use it how we want towards ensuring that we become more productive and more efficient in our lives. And that's why there's been such excitement in the last year or two.
Right. And Alice, let me get to you from the perspective of consumers. Why is there still that big challenge of understanding what exactly it is, to an extent that, yes, on a daily basis, we're starting to use certain technologies, some of them touching on AI, but the consumer is not aware what that is. Where is this gap?
Thank you so much for this show. And indeed, as I always tell people, this is when consumers feel that there's a rebirth in them. Before I answer that question, I would like to let consumers know that this is an opportunity for them to learn more about consumer protection, consumer rights, and responsibilities. So this day was first marked in 1983. That is 15th March on 1983, to honor one John Kennedy, who was the president, the 35th president of the United States, and is the only sitting or elected leader that stood up for the rights of consumers. And that's why we are commemorating this day every 15th of every year, every 15th, every month of March every year, so that we are able to see the strides that we've made as consumers. It's very important for consumers to feel appreciated, feel respected. This is a day they need to know that they matter in any ecosystem. And anybody that's coming up with a product like the AI we are talking about, they all come up with products having the consumers in mind, meaning that every product is meant for a consumer. Now, answering your question, why is it that consumers have issues? Because most of these developers, remember, first of all, we cannot have AI without data. Secondly, we can't have AI without developers. And number three, you cannot have AI without consumers who are consuming the products of AI. And fourthly, we are supposed to be having AI operating in an ecosystem that is legally appreciated by the users. So why is it that consumers are not ready for it? It's because the developers have not made the information available for consumers to learn, information available for consumers to appreciate the innovations, because we are here to appreciate the innovations because we believe AI is an enabler in many ways, because AI has made us now to understand what is happening in another part of the country, another part of the world. So meaning that if AI is used responsibly, then it acts as an equalizer, and it will help our consumers to learn more and even get more services and products that are useful to them. As we say as consumers, if any service, any product is not safe, then we are supposed to say no to those products. Yes.
Okay. So she mentions, what am I saying? She mentions data, that AI requires data. And even as we continue the phase of introductory issues, talk to us about the concerns that would come, especially when you find some of the big organizations like Google here quite several steps ahead. What are the concerns, especially in the Kenyan context, when it comes to this food data?
Thank you, Sam, for having me on this panel. When it comes to AI, some of the concerns that a consumer would have is one of it is that AI many times uses personal information to train. And many times the consumer will not have been informed that, in fact, the information will be used for repurposing. And when the information is collected, they just fill a form and they will be asked, what do you want this information for? They will not understand. There will be a clause saying it's for repurposing. And the repurposing could be to use it for purposes of training. So that is one of the concerns. So from a data protection perspective, one of the issues that we emphasize is the need for informed consent. It's important to let the consumer know, or what we call data subject in the world of data protection, to understand that the information will be used and what will be the purpose of the information. The other one is many times AI will collect a lot of information. And so the concern would be the use of minimizing how much information is being collected. The other one, of course, would be data security. Many times, of course, when you have a robust database and you have collected so much information, if you've not put in place security measures, if there's a breach of that data, you risk the rights of the data subject. And of course, the other concern would be whether the consumer, and I think Meto has mentioned, whether as they develop projects and new products, are they putting in place data protection by default and by design? Okay. Those are the things that really would be a concern.
Okay. We'll get more details about that, and shortly we'll also be listening to what more Kenyans said about artificial intelligence. But Peter, so the mobile network operator, I mean, you're in our gadgets in terms of the services that you provide. How have you been using AI that we didn't know?
Thank you, Sam, and thank you for calling us for this important debate on AI, because AI has already been democratized. We use AI on a very regular basis, as my co-panelists have said. We are not. I know some of the interview people are not aware, but actually we use it every day. And our own experience is that AI is now much more powerful because we have more data, we have better technology, we have more computing power, and also because customers, in particular, want personalized services. So the way our own experience as Safaricom, because of having data both on the financial services side, but also on the telecommunication side, on the communication side, we can be able to offer services that are more tailored to our customers. We can actually be able to predict areas where customers are at risk. For example, on fraud, we have been able to predict fraud and actually prevent fraud before it occurs, especially when there has been identity theft and so on. We now have a virtual assistant called Zuri, which people interact with without necessarily realizing is actually AI. So when AI is used for good, as my panelists are also saying, it actually can be very powerful tool for enhancing experience, for coming up with new products, but also allowing us to really drive productivity because you can go to market faster. In terms of how we are using, we are a very we are an organization that is well regulated. I see my two regulators next to me. So I'm unlikely to say anything that will put me in trouble.
Yeah.
But certainly, I think one needs to have great data governance internally, a great team. We have moved our team from our big data team from 7 to 40 now,
right,
between scientists and also engineers. So having the capability, having the governance, but also having the internal ecosystem that allows you to govern how you use AI is very important.
Data governance, new terms that we learned this evening. Let's listen to some Kenyans on what they think. The question was, what is artificial intelligence? This is what they said.
Okay, so artificial intelligence is how you can make machines think like human beings. Yeah, that's basically the definition of artificial intelligence.
It's just a system, international system where all programs are kept. Either you can research any information that you want to get from the internet, you can retrieve it from it. Yeah.
It's a new technology that uses machines to get tasks done. Like right now we can even do assignments by ChatGPT, so I think that's a form of AI. Yeah. Hospitals here, they also use AI to make drugs nowadays.
Nitasema ni kama system ambayo inaweza kuwekwa kwa kompyuta na ikadetect ugonjwa katika mwili wa binadamu.
Okay, all right, different perspectives there. Let me come to you, Director General CA, because at the end of the day, all these issues have to be regulated. How far are we in terms of having a framework that is able to govern that? And what are you seeing from the trends so far?
As an industry regulator, we are alive to the fact that technology is changing and the advancement of society. In 2018, the previous government started a task force that on blockchain and AI. Mm-hmm. And part of the recommendations of the task force was that we should encourage AI development. We should look at its risks, its biases, and also we should do audits so that human beings are not affected. As you are aware, currently we are reviewing our Kenya Information Communication Act and its attendant regulations to be in line with the emerging technologies and societal development. Right. So far, we've done rounds of meetings with the public and industry players, and we've submitted our recommendations to the ministry, which will be submitted to the Attorney General and henceforth for forward transmission to Parliament. Basically, reviewing the regulations will enable us incorporate the emerging technology like AI and such like.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Stanley, at the ICT Authority, which you're able to even guide in terms of where the country should be heading, what do you think are these areas that Kenyans need to be aware of? Because when you speak here, you hear every industry leader is talking about what they are doing within their own space. But what do we do to ensure that it is more accessible to the consumers themselves, but also they're able to develop it? Because you hear one of the speakers there saying that they're using ChatGPT to do their assignments. Of course, this is open source sort of artificial intelligence. But what are we doing to ensure that there's more awareness, but also more use by the consumers?
Thank you very much, Sam, for having us. First, I must appreciate the comments from the citizens. Indeed, it is clear that most of our citizens actually understand this issue. No wonder our country has quite good levels of digital literacy when we are compared to our peers. Let me say that, first of all, we should look at AI from the basic definition of what intelligence is. Mm-hmm. And, intelligence is just the ability to be able to gather information, knowledge, and make certain decisions based on reason. Now, what AI then does is to augment the human intelligence and amplify it. And this becomes the power of AI, because then you're talking about having multiple, brain power in one place, looking at one set of information from different angles. And then this becomes the power of AI. I think from a consumer perspective and from a citizen perspective, AI has a lot of potential to help us empower our citizens. For example, from a government perspective, when we are delivering services, utilizing AI, we can be able to analyze large amounts of data, analyze what decisions our citizens are making when they're getting government services, and this then goes towards helping us not only improve service delivery, right, but also formulate policies that are forward thinking. The issues addressed around data privacy are a big issue in this space, because what is happening is that in addition to the tools that are being used in AI, getting data from different sources, we are having a situation where consumers are also being misled to do certain things that lead to harm, and some of them leading to actual financial losses when they are online through these tools. So we have a responsibility, first of all, to empower the citizens with the knowledge of what this technology brings to them, okay, but also demonstrate the opportunities that are there for them. All right. When you look at any sector, you will see what AI has been able to do. In a medical sector, we can now be able to diagnose disease much faster. We can be able to track patients and so on and so forth. And this, goes towards improving the quality of the lives of the citizens. But I think we have a lot of work to do for us to be able to have the citizens access these technologies, right, and be safe when doing so.
Okay. All right. There's still so much to cover, because we need to get to the point of, you're speaking about the government can use the data to generate even how decisions are made and to improve service delivery. But we'll be getting to the question of how exactly do you do that? Because there's certain industries or firms that have been able to do that. But what happens for government to be able to do that, but also private entities in this country? We're taking a short break, but you'll come back with more on this particular question of artificial intelligence and the consumer concerns that you need to be aware of. Stay tuned.